Hello and welcome to my 50 match summary. Every week I take a deck that you guys vote for here on YouTube for a run on the best of one ladder. And this week Jeskai Control won the vote, and this one is a very this one is teched heavily to do well against the Mono-Red matchup, which is hard for control, and that's kind of the advantage of playing Jeskai Control over the Azorius Control, is that you're able to bring in Lightning Helix, which being able to remove something like Squee or Godric and then gain 3 life helps improve that matchup quite dramatically. We're also running a lot of other point removal, so we've got 4 copies of March of Otherworldly Light, which can be used to remove their token in response for like Gleeful Demolition and Boros Convoke, and has been quite impressive. We've got 4 copies of Get Lost, which can remove a creature, an enchantment, or planeswalker and creates 2 map tokens. We've got 4 copies of the Temporary Lockdown to really affect those board-centric strategies. And then as far as counterspells go, we've got 4 copies of No More Lies, as well as 2 copies of Dissipate, 1 copy of Celestis here to kind of give us some life gain and filter, 1 copy of Wandering Emperor, and 1 copy of Teferi, Who Slows the Sunset, 4 copies of Memory Deluge to go find our answers, only 1 copy of Sunfall, and 1 copy of Farewell. So a total of 6 Wraths, which is actually a little bit on the low side for what we've seen in some control matchups, or in some control lists. And then we've got Zurgo and Ojutai, which is kind of like is the main win condition of the deck. And this has hexproof if it does resolve, but your opponent can counter it. So when you're playing against other control decks, what I've found is that this deck doesn't do particularly well because you're missing alternative win conditions like the 4 copies of Wandering Emperor, the 4 copies of Jace, and you kind of have a smaller amount of counterspells than some lists. And then Zurgo and Ojutai, you have to wait until like 8 mana to be able to start attacking in and protect it from your opponent's own counterspells. So, against other matchups, you know, there are some matchups where Zurgo and Ojutai does quite well, especially against like the black removal, just because it will always have hexproof if you continue to bounce it to your hand, and then every time that it connects, it gives you good card selection and helps you find your threats, your answers to your opponent's threats. The biggest downside with this deck is that it is expensive. It's got a lot of mythics and rares, and that a lot of them are in the lands to try to get the 3 color to work. The other downside to having 3 colors over the Azorius Control is we aren't able to play like Field of Ruin, the colorless land, for answers to Mirrex. So we're a little bit weak in that matchup as well. And so after I'll showcase my favorite matches from the 50 and then go over kind of a match summary at the end. So please enjoy. All right, opponent is going first. We have all 3 colors. Got early interaction, only 1 counterspell. So hopefully we're up against a board-centric strategy. I'm going to start out here with the Surveil land, kind of helps us smooth our draws, and is always going to be a tapped source. Alright, Teferi, Who Slows the Sunset, feels good enough. Opponent played a island. Another island, okay. We're going to play out... see, if we temporary lockdown we don't really need if they're not really playing any threats early on. So I'm gonna go with playing out the island here and then just start doing these, and we don't need the double pip white. This allows me to hold up the Dissipate. We've got a blast zone, so probably another control deck. Could just be... now this is a question about whether or not it's worth getting the second source here, because I'm not going to play Teferi this turn with them just having open mana. It likely just gets counterspelled. Okay, Zurgo is good eventually. Do still have another land. We could that one in the graveyard, but you'll notice if you play this deck that there is a lot of draw go. Does this get Vigilance? One thing to keep in mind of is you only have 1 counterspell. You usually want to hold your counterspells for threats that you can't answer, because we can get rid of the Surge Engine with the March of the Otherworldly Light or the Wandering Emperor. So I'm going to pass here and not use the Dissipate. We want to hit Dissipate on their card draw too, something that gets like a double value. And this doesn't change its value, so... Alright, Alright, so we can go here, x equals 2, and if they counter this, then that's okay. Alright, cool. And we saved our counterspell. And we're just trying to answer all of our threats, our opponent's threats, and then eventually win the game. We can start attacking with Zurgo and Ojutai only when we get 8 mana. There's a lot of just draw pass here. And hopefully we keep hitting lands. Other Surge Engine. Okay. Again, we can use the March of Otherworldly Light or the Wandering Emperor. I like this. And if we were really concerned about it, we could even exile the Temporary Lockdown, because that's likely to not do anything. Oh, actually, no, Mana Value too early. Maybe I should have been removing the Surge Engines with the Temporary Lockdown. Alright, didn't think about that. Still need one more if we're going to try to play down a Planeswalker. That does give them filtering. Still think I'm going to hold on to my counter spells. Save my counter spells for their stuff. We can do the Wandering Emperor here. Response to them tapping. Okay. Now we have 7, so we can play something like Wandering Emperor or Teferi. And still have the ability to counterspell one counterspell. Which I kind of like. Let's try to get Teferi down on the board. Oh crap, is this an Atraxa Reanimator deck? Okay, well that's why we hold on to the Dissipate. We don't have another counterspell. Damn it! That doesn't tap for the Wandering Emperor, so I'm just gonna go with good job. You got me. Things moving along here. Alright, opponent goes first, and we've got all 3 colors, and we've got some good removal, so this is the deck is very centered towards beating up the early aggression of decks that I just have not been seeing. So part of the reason why I'm 13 and 23 right now is because this is not... I keep coming up against control, and haven't actually... this is not teched heavily against control. Okay, Cryptic Coat. I think we can just get rid of that one. It seems okay. Shieldred. Okay, we're definitely going to kill Shieldred. And draw a land! Nice. With Memory Deluge here, we're probably going to try to hit him. This card is a problem. And that ward creature is going to still exist, even if I get rid of the Cryptic Coat. But this is an opportunity to get rid of the Cryptic Coat here because of the way they tapped out, right? So I'm going to do this before they play a land. Get rid of this. Face down's card's value is 0, so Temporary Lockdown does get rid of it. Alright, they're going to play Preacher out. We kill the Preacher with Get Lost. This is fine. There's a land. If they decide to start tacking in with the Restless, we can save the March for that. Any reason to save it? I guess we could do the Wandering Emperor to get rid of the Preacher of the Schism. and not give them the map tokens. Kind of like that, actually, because then we can do this on a turn where we're going to do something more. Although this lets me keep up the March of Otherworldly Light if in case they activate the reef. Alright, I'm going to go with the Get Lost here. They do have 2 lands, so they could have a counterspell. Not. Gix, okay. Gix dies to Lightning Helix. Far so good. Be nice to draw some lands. Don't counterspell my Memory Deluge. No! Alright, that hurts, but I do get the card draw off of it. That's fun. I think I'm okay with like taking a little bit of damage from Urtai. Play the Celestis here. Sort of like making a land drop. Interesting they're not activating their land. Okay. I guess that means that we will be using the March on the Cryptic Coat. Oh, but they need to tap out. Cryptic Coat is such a huge problem for control. Alright, so that gives me a total of 6. I don't like this, because then I can keep up the March again for their land. Then they have to play the Cryptic Coat and replay it. I'm running out of time here. They're shooting their own creature so that I don't get a 2/2. Okay. Interesting. But I don't have 7 mana, right? Okay, they can bring things back then. Well, that was a good draw. All right, now we've got Wandering Emperor or the March. Got options. I could have temporary lockdown to remove all their map token. Okay, hopefully they tap out. Tap out. Pop all of those map tokens onto that 3/2. So I can get your Cryptic Coat. Alright, so we're going to play out the Wandering Emperor here. Okay, good. That counterspell, that means that we can kill the Cryptic Coat. And I can even play a temporary lockdown to eliminate... It kills my own... It kills my own here. No, it kills my 1/1. But gets rid of the board. Now if they start doing the Restless Thief, we just have to come into an answer for the Restless Reef. Well, there goes some answers. This is why this deck could really use some Field of Ruins for the man lands. Alright, let me go get I guess we don't have a red as an option. If I draw a card, I just end up discarding it. I do have Memory Deluges. Yeah, I would have just discarded that. Alright, I'm going to play it out so that I can do Memory Deluge into March. They decide to attack him with the Manland again. I could hit March of Swirling Mist. Gives me the 8 mana. Now we finally have enough to be able to attack in. Okay. Farewell's interesting. Gets rid of cryptic coats. Doesn't, I mean, neither of these answer the manland. Maybe I'm supposed to hold up no more, grab no more lies. Okay, Fairy Dream Thief. And the heat is on. God, and that the Dream Thief blocking there means that Zurgo's just going to be sitting on the board. I don't think I'm ever actually going to cast the Farewell, right? I could switch it to Day here. The Celestis. See if we can find something better than the Farewell. Well, I don't think it's going to come down to us winning with the Restless Anchorage. Okay. We need to top deck an answer for their stupid Reef. Down to 27 cards. Oh, there goes a couple of answers. Alright, so we do have enough to Memory Deluge. No More Lies is unlikely to do anything, so I'm going to take the Memory Deluge. We do want to just keep bouncing it to our hand, right? If they get to the man, like, if they can activate both, though, we're really in trouble. Because then I need to hit double point removal for the 2 Restless Reefs. I guess I should do this now before the mill. In case, like, they mill my answers. Surveil land. We probably could just play this for a Surveil. We're kind of at that point where we don't need more mana. And we're going to have the Lightning Helix to survive, right? Oh! Beep, 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 beep. 4. Do I even have any more point removal? I have no more lies in Memory Deluge. That's it. F. Okay, well, that means we're going to lose. I have 14 cards left. And they are straight up all land. How do I deal 15 damage to them? This plus this. This 3 times plus this. I can't Farewell and play Zurgo. Yeah, I don't think we have enough here. I don't think we can win. They just milled all of my point removal. Dang it. I'd kept the land to be able to have a blocker that could have maybe saved a turn. That feels bad, though. And then we just have to, like, Lightning Helix to survive. It's close, right? Because, like, if I'd been able to hit, and if they make 2 of those, then I'm just toast, right? X. Okay. Good. I'm just gonna draw lands. Alright. And alright, opponent is going first, and we've got point removal, counterspell into Deluge for more answers. All 3 colors. Now we're up against Mono-Red. Alright. Put a Gonjo here and just remove the Kumano. Yeah, actually, I think that's our best line, right? Oh, wait, no, I have to do x equals 1. What am I thinking? X equals 0. All right. Okay. On the draw against Kumano, we already have 1 temporary lockdown. Do we need 2? All right, this is tricky, man. So next turn we're gonna hit them with the Get Lost, right? Give ourselves the option to counterspell something super scary. Most likely just Get Lost the Bloodthirsty. Then wipe the board with the temporary lockdown. Squeeze a problem. So we're gonna take a little bit more damage this turn. All right. We're gonna finish us off with the Mishra's Foundry. Oh no, they had another squee. F. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is Get Lost on squee. This is a 3 or more, so temporary lockdown doesn't hit it. It's a good round to get the Restless Anchorage down. And then if they animate the Mishra's Foundry, we can eliminate it with the March of the Otherworldly Light. We gotta do it before attackers anyway, so I think we can do it now. Alright, here we go. Oh, it's so tempting to remove their token, but then the Mishra's Foundries kill me. We gotta keep the March for the Mishra's Foundry, right? It's gotta be. Ugh. Just such misery. We're at 2 H. We're at 2. Because like we know they have the play with fire. So they just go for double spell to the face, right? And we're just toast. Oh good, they kept it on top too. Well, I guess it's better than dying. But now we have no answer for the Mishra's Foundry. We can block it with the Restless Anchorage. Can't block both. It's... At least they can't make the Mishra's Foundry into a 4/4. Oh no, they have like a Monstrous Rage or something. I still die. Oh, man, this is... Okay. Sorry to bow out on the 50 matches, guys, but I couldn't take it anymore. I've played the deck for over 6 hours, and it just doesn't feel like it's performing very well for me. And it might be the matchups, right? The one that I did win and was the second most common matchup was the Boros Convoke matchup. And the deck has a lot of spot removal and a lot of disruption. So it actually fared relatively well against Mono-Red. Sometimes, you know, like when you get a Kumano on the draw, like when they're on the play and they play Kumano turn 1, it's going to be an uphill battle regardless. But it didn't just feel like a complete slaughter against Mono-Red. What did feel like a complete slaughter, though, was all the other games. So, like, every single one of these matches, pretty close, right? I mean, I guess there's the Dimir Midrange, right? But, like, the majority of these matches are Domain, which is a control matchup, or then Azorius Control, or some version of a control, the Bant Landfall deck, and it just did not feel like it was firing very well. So, you know, I'm tempted to play it out, but I also think I'd end up playing the deck for like 10 hours because they're just super grindy matches that come down to the wire, and it's just I'm not a control mage at heart either, which I'll put out there as an asterisk. So I think making it to 25 losses is okay. But what I can say is that it does have some advantages, right? And like especially the Lightning Helix. I wasn't super impressed with Zergo and Ojutai as a win condition. I do think that there's better options. I'll be covering a different list in Jeskai Control on tomorrow for the meta review. That I'd be curious at running another 50 matches and see if maybe I'm just not very good at control. That could be quite the possibility. But it did feel like a lot of times it was just a really uphill battle. And then if you were playing against the board-centric matchups, you just prayed that it wasn't Mono-Red. And Mono-Red's the most common matchup on the ladder. So I think I want to see it kind of taken in a way where it's like, I want to lose more of the matchups against Mono-Red and then do better against the rest of the field. And I know that cards like Jace do help against the Mono-Red matchup too. So I think that this isn't even fully optimized against Mono-Red. Yeah, so, you know, if you're thinking about crafting the deck, I think I would hold off on the Jeskai Control just for a little bit. Especially because, like, it feels... Running this match felt a lot like that it was really aimed at Boros Convoke, which... You know, if it was making up a bigger chunk of the meta, which it certainly was a little while ago... then that kind of makes sense, right? But I'm not sure that we need 4 copies of Temporary Lockdown. There's a lot of times where this is just a whiff. It's really good against the Boros Convoke strategy, but I think 4 might be a little excessive. And I'm not, you know, being able to play the Lightning Helix, though, does seem advantageous to tempt you into playing Jeskai Control, right? So you could make like an Azorius Control list that's playing the Lightning Helixes instead of the Field of Ruins. Which would make you a little bit worse against control matchups, a little bit better against Mono-Red. But that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I hope you can forgive me for not running the full 50. It was just bottoming out on the end on plat there, and I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to play another 12 matches or another 6 hours or whatever. So, but yeah, this one gives me, you know, this is the first thumbs down in a long time. Where it's just like, I don't usually say no to a deck, or that I did not enjoy playing a deck, and this one, it beat me up, man. I'll be honest. Losing control matches that you play for 30 minutes it's just rough. It's rough. So next week I'll be covering an archetype that wins the vote as usual. So remember to place your vote on Sunday, and you know, let me know if you've been playing Jeskai Control and been having a good time with it, and maybe I'm just having a bad run of Magic. It does happen sometimes, and you know, I love hearing back from you guys. So good luck with your matches and RCQs, and maybe I'll see you on the ladder.